everybody in my property community and on YouTube as well this evening. So thank you everybody for being here. I'm just going to do a bit of housekeeping to begin with to see if we've got anyone on the live. I think we have. Can somebody drop us a comment or drop us a like so we know that we've got somebody online? In the meantime, I'm going to say for anybody that wants to have their beautiful face and their name pop up on the screen, because this is a really interactive platform, if you just click on the link on the post and just give hello, someone's online. Hello. If you just give StreamYard permission, it's literally one little click. You'll have your own face and your own name come up on the system whilst we're live. If you can't be bothered to do that, just put your name after your comment, because otherwise we don't see who it is. Yes. So, okay. So first and most importantly, a huge welcome to Laura Muse, the propertypreneur, that has really kindly, agreed to come on and be interviewed by Stephanie and I this evening. We're pretty nervous actually, because, no, genuinely, because Laura's been a huge inspiration to us since we started our journey, and kind of going back to when we were at Progressive and we did our mastermind with Kevin McDonnell on No Money Down. He was on the stage and he was talking about who's kind of influencing you at the minute, who's kind of at the forefront of your particular journey. And we both put our hands up, and it was Laura. And you were very much the person that was really inspiring us at that point in our journey, and have continued to do so throughout. There's nothing really that Laura doesn't kind of put her hand to. Podcast, the social media queen, developer, HMOs, rent-to-rents, buy-to-lets, public speaking, the whole shebang. So we're incredibly honoured to have you on this evening to share an hour and a half or an hour with us
honestly, thank you so much. I really appreciate you asking me.
No, we're really grateful. So I'm going to hand over to you, Laura, just to give a quick 30 seconds, a little snapshot for anybody that everyone knows who you are, but if anyone that doesn't know who you are, quick 30 seconds, and then we'll jump in.
Cool. So my name is Laura Muse. I invest in Sheffield with my husband James. We've been full-time in property since September 2018. We have a majority of buy-to-lets in our portfolio. We also do build-to-rent and build-to-sell. We also have one HMO, and we were going to go down the rent-to-rent route, but we have changed our mind, so we're not going to do that anymore. What else have we got? Lettings, a management facility. We offer a source refurbishment and management for our investors, but a big part of our business is working with investors on a return basis, which is kind of how we've built up our business so quickly. And that is probably about me.
Boom! You've done that before. You have done that before. Right, okay. I'm going to hand over to Steph now. Who's going to kick us off.
So we're going to do a couple of different sections. We're going to start with property. But actually, before we talk about property, you mentioned that you became a full-time property investor in 2018. So let's go back a bit further, Laura, and just tell us what happened before 2018 and how did you get to become a full-time property investor?
Okay, so my background is not property at all. I'm an equine nutritionist by trade, so that is probably as far from property as you can probably get. So the reason me and my husband got into property, we had 6 buy-to-lets. So we had two buy-to-lets, and then my husband did a new build project in 2014, which was commercial, 2 commercial units and 2 flats. Unfortunately for me, in 2015, I lost my mum, my nan and my auntie all within 3 months of each other. And one thing that really kind of hit home for us was actually I was in a corporate job. James was full-time because we had quite a large energy renewal business in Sheffield. We didn't get time to spend with my mum, for example. Unfortunately, she got cancer, and it didn't, we found out, and, 6 months later, unfortunately, she passed away. But being in that corporate environment, I wasn't able to take the time out to spend it with my mum. And I hadn't done for many years because I was trying to make my way in, in the equestrian world, and I was working all the hours God sends for somebody else. And it was just a massive kind of realization. I don't want my life to be like this. I don't want to have, we were planning on having a family. I didn't want my daughter to grow up not knowing who her parents were, and we're always palming her off to other people, babysitters, and it's just not the lifestyle we wanted. And that was the realization for us. It was a rough one. It took me a good 12 months to kind of pull myself out of a hole, because it could have gone one way or another, if I'm brutally honest. So I started working on my mindset back then, before I started going into this whole property journey. And if I hadn't have done that, I don't think I would have been mentally strong enough to take the leap, leave my job. Because I left my job and I had no property experience. I just went, as we say, balls deep. So yeah, that was it for us, and the rest is history, so to speak. I don't know if you can wipe that bit out, by the way. I've just realised.
No, you said it. I'll say it too. Balls deep. There you go.
Because you mentioned you had some properties already. Was that then the obvious choice to get you out of your job, or were you exploring other avenues at the time?
No, I mean, my husband he's run his own businesses since he left school. So we knew having a business, like an actual functioning business where you had to employ staff and it was a product or a service, actually, a lot of the time you very rarely get out of it. You're always involved in some way or another. And we wanted something that earned us money while we were asleep. And the only thing for us that can actually do that is property. If I decide, today I've done not very little work, don't tell James. But because I decided, actually, do you know what? I want to take a bit of time out today. And I can do that knowing that our business is still earning us money while we're doing that. And it was the only real thing we could see. We're fortunate that James's family have got, so they're quite big in property anyway, but they do things completely different to us. And one way it's fortunate, but in another way it put us off for a while. It actually took us 2 or 3 years to think, actually, do you know what? They're so stressed all the time. They're always cleaning it out, when they've got a lot of HMOs, cleaning rooms out. Jesus Christ, like, why on earth would you do that in your 60s? But it's it's the only thing that can make you money while you sleep. But on the flip side, we don't get as involved as they do. And that was one thing we were very mindful of when we started in properties. We didn't want to be cleaning rooms, checking tenants in and out, and all that crap that goes with it.
Did you have like a very definite kind of figure in mind? And obviously, I don't have to say the figure, but was there, straight away, did you think, like, this is the figure that we need to get to? Did you, we all kind of look at what our numbers are and, what is that magical number? Is that something that you did pretty early on? And was that easy for you to kind of do that?
So in that first year, our net income from the 6 units we had already was £1,500. We need to get to £5,000 to cover all of our outgoings, cover our mortgage, cover Isabel's nursery, and then leave us with extra money to spend. We managed to do that in the first, I'd say, 14 months. We're over £5,000 now. I think we're 5,200 and whatever. But we're more than happy with that because it covers, there's no stress. Like, the last 18 months have been amazing, but they've also been absolutely 110 miles an hour, and we've not had time for each other, time as a family, which is, we didn't get into this to end up in that scenario, but we had to work really, really hard and really quick to build it up. So actually, short-term pain is longer-term gain, and that's kind of what we've always had in our minds.
And that's important, is it? Because you mentioned you got into this because you wanted to make money while you sleep. But when you first started out, did you kind of know the fact that the initial bit would be hard, and you were probably not going to be making money while you sleep, and actually you were going to be working really hard, probably 9 till 5, but actually more likely 12 hours a day to get it to where you need it to be?
I knew it in my mind, but I've not run businesses like James had. He knew the expectation already. I quickly realised the expectation of what actually reality is going to be for the next 18 months, 2 years. And we've absolutely grafted our nuts off, like sleepless nights, 14, 15-hour days. We've tried everything from serviced accommodation, HMOs, and now I think after 18 months, we 100% know what strategy we want to do going forward. But it's taken
that must be like a nice feeling, because I think a lot of people like that are just starting out, it's so easy to kind of flutter between strategies and get that shiny penny, and even then just doubt yourself, like, are you doing the right thing? And then you're constantly trying to check back in on your goals. You know, we're doing it all the time, and you think, actually, is this particular strategy what we want? And it's interesting that you say that you don't want to do HMOs, and I think we'll naturally come on to that anyway. But yeah, I guess it's just so important, isn't it, just to kind of get that kind of, you know, realization early on. Well, I mean, you're what, 2 years in now since you went full time in property, is that right?
2 years, but you know, being completely honest with you, you know, we started VIP with Progressive in November 2018. We were 100% doing buy-to-lets. By January, I'd turned one of our flats, our buy-to-let flat, into a serviced accommodation unit because of shiny penny syndrome. I was everyone on social media making all this money. James, let's turn all our buy-to-lets into serviced accommodation. So, you know, I tried that, and then I'm like, oh, no, we don't need to be doing that. Let's do HMOs. It's not as much work. So they were like, so our shiny penny syndrome 100% comes from my department.
Should we talk about HMOs now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably quite a good time to just jump onto, because last time we spoke, I think you'd just taken on a couple of HMOs, or you're just about to.
Yeah, so they were rent to rent. So I was taking on 3 6-bed HMO on a rent to rent basis. 2 of them with a lease option to purchase them. But actually, it was literally, we were supposed to take them as we went into lockdown. And we had a month, obviously they managed to get some tenants in there. And we've got 1 4-bed HMO. It's in the best area of Sheffield. It's immaculate. We've never, ever had an issue filling it. Whenever we've put a room on, we've had 20, 30 applicants per room. And I had it come vacant during lockdown. I didn't get 1. I really struggled to fill it, and I thought, if I can't fill this, there is no way I'm going to fill these 3 6-beds. It's just not going to happen. And I didn't financially. We cut back everything as soon as we went back into lockdown. All the subscriptions went. Everything that we didn't need to pay for that completely went out of the window. We locked down as tenants by contacting them. Like, we really battened down the hatches. And for me, that was too much of a risk. So we packaged 2 of the rent to lease options. We've sold them. And the other guy, I just said, look, do you want me to manage it or help you find some tenants? And he just said, actually, do you know what? I think I'm gonna sell it. But that particular one, long story, but he bought it in 2006 for £250,000. It's only worth 140 now. So he's got a massive issue there. And unfortunately, it's not something I were prepared to get involved with. I think sometimes, which I try and please everybody, I try and help everybody, and I try and please everybody. But what lockdown's taught for me, actually, sometimes it's all about self-preservation sometimes, and you've got to be a little bit selfish. And that's what it kind of taught me, if I'm completely honest. So I didn't go forward with them. We've just got the 1 4-bed, which, like I say, is amazing, but nightmare to fill it at the minute, especially in Sheffield where it is, because it's a massive student market. There's so many student HMOs that are completely empty. The landlord's turning them into professionals, and they're completely undercutting anything that I could ever offer. So that's my view.
We all want to be kind of yes people, don't we? And we want to, like, yes until it's no, and try and make everything work. And I think, actually, you know, being able to be savvy and being able to look, you know, really look at something objectively and think, actually, this isn't the right thing to do. And we've done that recently on a couple of projects, and we turned down a 9-bed HMO that was pretty much offered on a plate to us, but we knew that it was students, and we only deal with professionals right now. So it was an area that we weren't kind of confident in. And actually, at the minute, again, the same in our area in Plymouth, students had dropped off anyway. And, with what's going on at the minute, it's just a different ball game altogether. So it was like, well, a 9-bed professional HMO, is that really going to work? Probably not. So, we walked away from that, didn't we? And actually, we learned a lot from walking away from that, I think. And I think you do learn a lot from walking away sometimes as well.
But it's also important, just to touch on something you said there, Laura, about trying to find, when you're in quite a negative situation, trying to find positives and opportunities. And did you say with a couple of those that you actually packaged them up and sold them on, the rent to rent?
Yeah, I mean, all my investors, they don't buy rent to rent deals, so I had to kind of go out of my little network of what I'd built up over the last 18 months and find someone who we could package them off to. And luckily, I mean, no offence, Southerners think it's a great deal up north. And for them it is. You know, there were £1,200 a month they had to pay. They could get a lot more, obviously, on the back end of that. I think it worked out about £900 cash. But it, you know, I got £3,000 for the privilege.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I helped them out. It's a lease option on the end if they want to execute that. And it was secured at 145,000 for each one when she bought them, like I say, in 2006 for 250. So massive discount, but it's just not. And it was really difficult for me to say no, that I didn't want to do it, because I'm not one to go back on my word. You know, up north we go on the handshake, and genuinely that's the type of people me and my husband are. Once we say we'll do something, it takes a hell of a lot for us to back out, and they're the only 3 deals, the 3 6-beds that we've ever backed out of.
And with, like you mentioned, obviously, you know, COVID's pretty much affected everybody. I would have thought in some way or another in the property business. And you know, with regards to the HMO that you've had difficulty with, has there been any other kind of difficulties within the business due to COVID that you've had to overcome?
Touch wood, we've been really fortunate, but bar the 1 4-bed HMO, and I wouldn't say it was a massive difficulty. It was just there was a lot less tenants looking to move. And obviously ours is professional. It's £500 a month for a shared bathroom, £600 for an ensuite, which luckily that tenant's never moved out of. But there was just a lot less people looking to move because of, obviously, people were on lockdown, COVID-19. You don't want to move into a shared house. It's full now, but I know I've got another tenant that's going to give me notice at the end of this month. But in regards to our buy-to-lets, touch wood, we have absolutely no issues at all. I didn't know if I did this consciously, but everyone who is living in our buy-to-lets are all key workers. So we've been really fortunate that way. We've got 2 commercial units. We thought we'd have a bit of an issue with them. And it was a little bit touch and go. One of them, probably about a month into lockdown. So he's got like an old-fashioned sweet shop. Obviously can't open, but he literally set up overnight an online business so he could still run. And he managed to pay his rent. And we just said, look, if you can't, please just ring us, let us know, we'll reduce it and we can catch it up later, you know, at a later date. It's not an issue. But bar 1 room at half price in the HMO, because the girl had to go back to Ireland, we've not missed any rent. And like I say, we've got 15 units. One of them is the HMO. So
do you think having a varied portfolio has helped during this kind of difficult time? Because if, you know, you were all HMO, for example, it probably would have been much more of a struggle. So do you think having that kind of multiple streams is important?
I think so. And I think it's only, I mean, we've never been through anything like this before. Whether we go through it again or not, who knows? But I think it's really identified what works in this type of environment, what doesn't, and what's going to suffer. And if you say, for example, if you've got all SA, which a lot of my friends have, they were hit really, really hard. Some of them had massive SA businesses and it literally vanished overnight. But now they've turned a few of them SAs into buy-to-lets, and they'll probably keep them as buy-to-lets for the diversity. So obviously if one market's hit, then the other one can kind of pick that up. So we're fortunate that we have got a real mix, but I would say 80% is definitely buy-to-lets for us.
Yeah, I think it's about that kind of adaptability, isn't it? Kind of adapt and overcome, and you know, try and seek an opportunity elsewhere. And if you're not willing to change and grow, then you're probably never going to be able to scale, are you? And those people that are willing to change and adapt with the times are more likely to be able to get through. Yeah. So you and your partner James, so you're obviously life partners and you're also business partners together, as are we. And I guess, like, open question really, how do you find that?
Oh, really hard work. It's taken me, so James has obviously had his own businesses forever, and I've always had, I've never been micromanaged. I didn't realise my husband liked to try and micromanage, which was a bit of an issue when we first started. But we're really fortunate that we've got very different skill sets, as I'm sure you two do. So he's into detail and numbers and spreadsheets, which is not my forte in life. I'm into going out there, meeting the agents, raising the finance, the marketing, which he hates. Our skill sets are different, which works really well, but we always talk about work. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We enjoy talking about work. So
shared passion, isn't it?
And that's the thing. If it's a passion that you both share together, then it's gonna bring you even closer, isn't it? But you can share the highs and share the lows together. But I guess
don't get me wrong, we're wrangling too. But me as well.
Did you know when you decided to go full time? Did you know what each of the strengths were in the business world, or has that only become apparent since then?
No, that's only become apparent since we started. And I'd say the first 3 months was really difficult. We're both trying to do everything.
Yeah.
He's asking, have you done this? I'm like, no, I don't know how to do it. Because obviously James had a lot more experience in property than me. Like I'd never been through a mortgage process. Didn't even know what a gross yield was. When I sat masterclass in July 18, I didn't know any of this information. Where he'd done it, I'd just watch him. I watched him from a distance. But the first 3 months were tough. We certainly had our rows, I would say, who was right and who was wrong. But I think now it works really well. And I think whether it's a business relationship or an actual relationship, it has its ups and downs, and you have to work out how to live or work together. And I think it's exactly the same. And, for me, James is a complete rock in our business, and I'm sure he'd say that the other way around. Like if we've had a bad day, the other one can pick the other up, and we would not have done what we've done if we'd done it separately. Absolutely nowhere.
You pick me up on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely.
Scoop you up off the floor.
The thing, so I'm quite emotional and wear my heart on my sleeve, and I have really big highs, but I have really low lows as well. And probably not that many people. No one will really see that because you don't see it. But you're that person. Steph's my rock and brings me back.
Yeah. I'm dead inside, so I don't suffer from that.
You get on really well.
So I guess the last kind of question that we're just going to touch on before we move on to social media was, obviously you guys have got a daughter.
Yeah.
How old is she? She's 7.
She's 4 in October.
Okay. And so how's that been during? So I'm guessing she was at nursery before.
Yeah.
Lockdown. And have you had her at home with you for the last 4 or 5 months?
Yes.
So not only are you just doing absolutely everything there is to do in every single kind of stream of property, but you're also having to kind of bring up your little girl 24 hours a day as well. How are you doing that? Because we've got a puppy, we've got Queen Cersei, and she is tough. She is tough, but she's obviously not a kind of little girl. But so how have you? I mean, hats off. I don't know how you've done it.
I mean,
and all the mums out there as well. It's kind of hats off massively.
Respect.
To be honest with you, when the property market was closed, I found it a lot easier because James was at home. Obviously, we weren't allowed to go out anywhere, so we literally. Because I don't know if you can't really see from here. I'll show you, but that's my office and that's my house. Yeah. So we can actually leave the house to go to work, which we're really fortunate to do. So, if we had our office in the house or on the dining room table, I think it would have been a completely different situation. Yeah. But we literally just did shifts. So James took the 9 till 1, and then I took the 1 till 5, and we did that every day. So we could both just lock ourselves away in the office and get stuff done, which is absolutely brilliant while the property market wasn't open. When the property market opened and we had, we were running a new build as well at that time, but we weren't physically on site. We've got a project manager, so that wasn't an issue. We had two properties in refurb, which are half done. So as soon as the property market reopened, James obviously tootled off and went off and did that. So I was at home all day with Isabel, and I found that very difficult. I couldn't get anything done. I had investors contacting me like, why are you not getting back to me? Are you out looking for property? It's like, oh, hang on a minute. I'm not bloody superwoman. So once the property market reopened, I struggled, and I'm sure people can see on my social media, I absolutely fell off the face of this earth. I couldn't cope with doing the social media stuff, looking after my daughter, doing all my lettings, because obviously I was still looking for new tenants, trying to find property. It was just too much, and I found it really overwhelming. If I'm honest with you, I had to take about 4 or 5 weeks off because mentally I couldn't cope anymore. I wasn't looking after myself. I seemed to be looking after everybody else, and it was a big struggle for me, and I really had to pull myself out of a hole, if I'm honest. I kind of fell out of love with property for a few weeks, and especially social media, so I just shut myself off to all of it. And a good friend, she's a good friend now actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of her, Natasha Collins, she's got her own stuff going on. She actually reached out to me, she's like, you okay? And I'm like, actually, do you know what? No, I'm not. I'm not okay. So yeah, just a bit of self-love, a bit of, I don't know if anyone's into the whole meditation and stuff, but that's what I've always done when I'm having a bit of a difficult time. Got back into my exercise and had to force myself out of the pit I'd dug for myself. Let's just put it that way. But then Isabel's gone back to nursery and normal service has resumed.
Yeah. That just shows like the strength of character though, to be able to pull yourself out, because a lot of people, you know, can't do that.
Yeah, I think one, it shows that you're human, like it's a completely normal emotion and reaction to everything that you've gone through. But two, that you have, like Lou said, the strength to be able to pull you out and actually to be able to see what was going wrong and actually know what you needed to do to get yourself out of it. What do you think you've learned from that, kind of going through that sort of 4 or 5 weeks of being pretty low?
Well, let's be honest here. So I actually decided I don't want to source for anyone else anymore. I think, you know, it's made me realise I love doing things for me and James because it's directly giving me and James, you know, a better financial security, a life. Packaging for me is just, I'm just really not bothered about it. I don't want people contacting me all hours during the day and night, you know, asking me how much a packet of screws is. It's just not where we are in our journey. And I get it if people, you know, I've got friends who've got big deal packaging businesses and great for you if that's what it makes you happy, but it doesn't make me happy. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I mean, I've got 2 really good investors and I will continue to give them buy-to-lets if they don't fit in our portfolio, but I'm very transparent with them and say, look, you know, you are kind of third in row, and they're happy to do that. I'm not bothered about doing all the speaking stuff for Progressive anymore, if I'm honest. So I'm being really honest here. I just realised
Be honest.
So so I had some speaking opportunities and I joined their academy, and do you know what? I love speaking like we're speaking now and like at the Blue Oak and things like that. But do you know what? I don't want to be going to Peterborough every week, and I don't want to be doing all these courses anymore. I feel like, do you know what? We've made something really amazing in a very short period of time. Why can't we just continue to cookie cutter what we're doing? We don't need to be going and spending all this money on more courses. Yeah. So I'm not bothered about that anymore, if I'm brutally honest. And I'm being a little bit more selective about the speaking gigs I do. Because, you know, at the end of the day, when you're on social media, as you ladies know, everybody wants a piece of you. And now I've started saying no to a lot of that because I'm only one person. And actually, I'm in this to build a better life for me and my husband and my daughter, not to give out loads of free information to everybody who has heard me a couple of times, which is great. And you get a great following. And some people really appreciate that. But then you get a lot of people that expect it. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's brutally honest.
Yeah, thank you for being so open. I think it sort of naturally leads us on to our next section, really, as well, doesn't it? On social media.
Yeah.
So
boom, let's change that up on there.
So
I love it.
Lisa's obsessed.
I get so excited about it. Sorry.
I think the first question really is, how important is social media to your business? And you might have changed.
Yeah, I think it's changed, hasn't it? But
I think initially we needed finance. We were fortunate that we started with our own funds, but you know, as you know yourself, you buy a couple of houses, it gets stuck in refinance, you see a great opportunity, you don't have the liquid cash. We really quickly realised in our journey, actually, to grow at the rate we want to, we need cash investors, as in people lending on a return basis. So I didn't really think social media would give me that, if I'm honest. And I started the deal packaging mastermind because I thought deal packaging would give us the extra cash. Package a couple of deals, you get a deposit, you know, you buy a property like that.
Yeah.
But I realised pretty quickly, actually, I don't love deal packaging. My husband does not like doing refurbs and organising trades for somebody else. It's already a pain in the ass for us, never mind doing it for someone else. And people who say that it's not are lying. Like, refurbs are in the ass, especially when it's an old property. So David Siegler said, what do you actually want? And I said, I want people to lend me money on a return basis. I'm not bothered about deal packaging, as in getting 3-5 grand. I want people to lend me money over a longer period of time. He went, well, the only way you're going to do that is by putting yourself out on social media. But for me, I didn't have the knowledge. I thought, who on earth is going to listen to me? Who on earth is going to lend me £100,000? And it really did push me and force me to do it. And he made me do a 30-day challenge, which literally posting on social media every day for 30 days. And I thought, what the hell am I going to speak? And I did it. And within them first 7 weeks, we raised £600,000 from 2 investors.
That's incredible.
I didn't think would ever would come to light. So initially, my first 12, I'd say up until 3 months ago, it's always been the sole focus for me in our business, like social media, get your name out there, raise your profile. But I think it's like the tipping scales in any kind of career or life, or, you know, sometimes they go one way or another. And for me, it was more social media, and I wasn't doing enough of the income generating tasks I needed to do in my business, i.e. find property. So I've really reined back with social media. Like I'd spend days like thinking, oh God, I've got to plan all this, and I've got to do all my stuff on Canva, which is great. But actually, do you know what? That stuff didn't raise me any money. The stuff that raised me money was doing a live video around a project or down a street, a viewing I've just done. That's the stuff that raised me money. And it was James that actually pointed that out to me. He's like, Laura, why are you doing all this stuff? Like, this isn't what raised us the money. The stuff that raised us the money was you out talking about Sheffield, talking about our projects, and talking about things you've just viewed and numbers. So I've kind of gone a bit back to that and doing it like once or twice, maybe 3 times a week.
Great points. That I think that's really valuable to, you know, people watching, and you know that to us that's really valuable, because I'm probably skipping ahead a little bit now, and it's probably meant to come later on, but like I guess the downsides of kind of social media and kind of getting sucked into that you know, kind of mindset where you need to be on every single day. Doesn't matter what you do, you need to be on. And then all that does is, you know, the more you put out there, the more that comes back to you, and the more that, you know, people want a bit of you, and the more questions that you're getting asked. And you know, we've talked about, like, I've kind of come to you, reached out to you to, you know, in the past, say like, how do you do it? Like, because I find it quite overwhelming, you know, because you know, you almost feel like there's a lot of responsibility on you as well for people that are reaching out. And I'm thinking, well, I've only just started myself, and we've not been doing this for very long. And then it's that kind of you know, doubt. No, so it's just kind of self-propagating. Propagating, where it's just like round and round and round, and you just lose sight of actually what you're trying to do.
But also, you were getting to the point where you felt guilty because you had messages that were unanswered, you know, and things like that. That, you know, there's just that constant underlying, I need to be on it, and I need to be on it now type thing.
But what you just said then, it's about, you know, kind of being efficient and being effective with the social media, and rather than just kind of, you know, getting on every day, it's actually, like you said, kind of making sure that you're getting out there and doing the income generating tasks, and filming yourself on doing that, and that's what's bringing the, you know, that's what's generating the positive.
It's working smart, isn't it? I think that's the word, rather than just working really, really hard on social media, finding ways of working smart. And I remember, Laura, when we were, what was that thing we did? Blue Oaks Big Bash, and you presented
Big
at
Blue
that,
one.
And you talked about seeding. Can you tell us what that means when you're kind of doing your lives and things like that?
Yeah, so I mean, my background is obviously sales and marketing, so I've always seeded in any job that I've done. And what seeding basically is you're giving people, you're overcoming people's objections before you even initiate that phone call or that first basic contact. So, for example, you stood outside a property. My aim for doing that video is I want people to lend to me on a return basis. So I'd stand outside the property that I'd just purchased. I'd say, just bought this property, I've just got the keys today. It's completely funded by investor finance. We bought it for X, Y, Z, whatever. This particular investor was a little bit anxious about kind of the security on this property. So for this particular one, for example, they've got a first charge. So you just drop in little seeds, little bite-sized bits of information that somebody who's watching is probably already thinking, well, why would you lend somebody money? What security have you got? How long is it for? So you can seed that as you go around. So then you'll go in, you'll show people around the property. You'll come back outside again and say, you know, this project's only going to take us 8 weeks, but we've actually lent the money for 12 months. So whether we finish that project early or not, that investor's still going to get that interest. Or maybe they want to roll on to the next one, so then we can buy another one, and actually they'll get more than what we initially agreed. So it's all about overcoming objections and planting. You're basically planting the idea in people's head. Actually, that could work for me. You know, this investor behind me, they had money in the bank and it was earning 0.01%. I mean, that's just crazy. But actually, on this deal behind me, they're earning 10%. Like, that's just nuts. So they're thinking, Jesus Christ. But it does work. But one thing I would say about social media is you have to be completely transparent. Like, there's so many people that put smoke and mirrors up. Like, so many people that say, oh, I've done all these amazing projects and I've done this and I've done that. Do you know what, mate? I've not seen one bit of social proof of what you've done. All I've heard is negative things about you. So, you know, anyone who does want to invest, I always ask anyone who invests with us, please go and speak to other people in the industry before you even transfer £1 into our bank account. We're very fortunate that a lot of our investors are family, but they're only converted into investors because of what they've seen on social media, which we thought there's no way, this is just crazy. You know, we've had some more family members transfer funds during lockdown, which is just nuts. But my investors who do lend on a return, the reason why they do is because they say they've seen us start a project and finish it, and we've told them about the speed bumps during that, you know, that journey, how we've overcome them, what obstacles we've had. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They just give the, you know, the whole shiny side, and anyone who does it properly knows it's a bloody roller coaster and nothing is ever straightforward. So being completely transparent, honest and consistent is what we did, and that's the type of people we are, which is what raised us the money in a short period of time.
Yeah. I think exactly that. Like, if you're transparent and you just, you know, you're just real with people, and, you know, I like to think that people think that we are as well with the social media side, and, you know, just kind of, like you said, not always just showing, you know, all the good stuff and, you know, the shiny happy faces and it's always going amazing, because the majority of the time in the beginning and the early stages, it's like, there's a lot of shit days, and it is really hard, and there is loads of setbacks, and there are arguments, and there are, like, you know, the self-doubt every single day, and just working stupid hours, and, like, nothing's going to come for free, is it? Nothing worth going for is going to be easy. And I think it's like you said, if someone's watched you along that journey and then watched you grow and watched you make mistakes, and then they know that, well, actually they've made mistakes, so they're not going to make those same mistakes again, and all they've done is grow as people and as a business. So in terms of platforms, so you're obviously you're prolific on loads, but which is your favorite in terms of, and I'll make it more specific, investor funds coming in? So being able to reach out. I probably know the answer, but
you probably do.
Yeah.
So for me, my go-to is Facebook. It always has been. Just it fits in more with my personality, if I'm honest. It's not as structured, it's not as corporate, and I'm not into the whole, like, pictures, and I just like to do a live video, I get it out of the way, it's done. I can crack on with my day, and that's
get your pink hat on.
My pink hat on, as Peter James said, my penis hat.
I've seen that for a while. I need to see the pink hat back out again.
They're already built. I just need another site. You
have to take on another development because I need to see the pink hat.
but yeah, the Facebook for me, and the reason why, I mean, I don't know if anyone is in groups, but for example, like your group, the quickest way to build a following if you don't already have one is by utilising somebody's group. So obviously I use Progressive. It's got over 30,000 people in there. But a lot of them people are investors, and they just watch. They just watch what you're doing. They watch if you're being consistent. And then eventually, you know, you do get that message in your inbox. Been watching you on social media, which, you know, at first you think, Jesus Christ, is stalking me. And it's a bit weird, but actually they just want to see if you're there for the short term. Have you actually done a project? What type of stuff are you doing? Are you doing this every day, getting off your ass and going out and knocking on doors? Because that is what it's like in property. Like, you run at so many doors and the doors are completely shut, and then one day you'll go straight through. And, you know, you have to dig deep in property, and that's what people like to see. You know, we've had some proper shit times, but I've been very open on social media and said, you know what, I don't know if this is for me anymore. Like, it's really hard. And then other days I'm like, I've just got some keys, I'm buzzing. But that is what it's like. And that's what I like about Facebook in particular, is you can just be yourself.
Yeah. Was there any, at the beginning of getting yourself out on social media, was there any conscious thought in, this is how I want to portray myself, or maybe I need to be like this? Or for you, was it always, I'm just going to be myself? Like, did you ever go through that, or maybe I need to be this way?
One thing I've always struggled with is my accent. So, I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I think it's really endearing though. Like, I think you're, yeah. It's like isn't it?
What did you say? Sorry.
No, so I think it's a USP. It's like, you know, it's endearing.
I come to that now, but back in the day, I didn't think that. The only thing I was always conscious about is my accent and how I speak, and that I do come across like I sound a bit thick because I'm northern. And I have to just get over that. But in regards to what you said, Stephanie, no, I just did them. I didn't think, don't want to be portrayed like this, or don't want to be a controversial character. I've always just been myself. And my husband will tell you I'm a really shitty liar. So I just can't, you know, being yourself is just the most authentic thing, isn't it? You know, people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and people they can relate to. And if you're pretending to be somebody else and they meet you in the flesh, or maybe 6 months down the line, the guard drops, that know, like, and trust you've built's completely vanished overnight. So what's the point? Just be yourself from the get-go.
Exactly. There's no sustainability in being someone else, is there? You're not going to be able to keep that facade up for, like you said, much longer than a few months.
When I can't even do a diet for 3 days, never mind, like.
So I guess then, kind of, you know, drawing to the close of this particular section with social media, I think, you know, we all realise how powerful it is, and, you know, and how powerful it's been for you and James moving forward. But, you know, there is downsides to it, and, you know, from a personal point of view, you know, like, I started having like every Saturday off, because it got to the point where it was an obsession, but it was kind of creeping into being a bit unhealthy, and, you know, that kind of, you know, not really being present all the time, and just kind of, you know, just being stuck on this, and you know, that danger of just missing out on the important things. So, and I think, you know, for me, it's certainly, I went through a stage a couple of months ago of it having quite a negative effect on my mental health. And yeah, you know, I think did you suggest to me start having a break?
Probably suggested.
It was probably Steph suggesting, like, have a break. And I
think I'd heard it on a podcast someone had talked about it, and I was like, yeah, you need to try this.
And it was just a case of, you know, like Friday evening, I would kind of do everything I needed to do, and then I'd swipe off all my notifications and take all the apps to the back of my iPhone, and then I'd have all of Saturday off. And I picked Saturday because, you know, that's meant to be the day that there's the least engagement. So I thought, right, I'll pick Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, you're like that, trying to like catch up on what you've missed. But for me, that really, really helped. So yes, that for me, that's the kind of like negative side. But I mean, have you felt that? Have you dealt with that?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I massively struggled with was I was absolutely obsessed with my phone, like you just touched on there. Completely obsessed, to the point where, so I only work Monday to Thursday. It was a choice that I decided from the word go. I only wanted to work 4 days a week. I'd like to say that's the case, but normally it's not. I do try and spend Fridays. I just have me and my daughter, and it got to the point where on that Friday when I was supposed to be spending time with my daughter, I was literally on the phone saying, "Do you want to go on your iPad?" And I thought, what am I doing? What is this? This is not why we got into property. And the thing is, all the stuff I was doing was not earning me any money. I was just talking to people, replying to people, commenting on people's posts who commented on mine. Fear that, oh God, if I don't reply, they're not going to support me and follow me on my journey. But actually, you know what? As much as the people I've met through social media is amazing, my daughter and my husband are a lot more important, and it has taken me for lockdown, and I'll keep going back to it, to actually just completely reset and think what is important here. Like, you just get caught up, and like you go to Progressive, for example, and it's that fear of missing out. And I do,
massive FOMO.
100%. So you'll go back and oh God, I should be doing this, and I need to be doing this speaker course, and but actually, you know what? I didn't get into this to get another job. I didn't get in this to be on my phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now it's very rare that I do comment and respond, if I'm honest. I've completely gone the opposite way, but it is for my mental health and for me actually dedicating time with my daughter instead of being on my phone all the time. And I do. So I have this thing where after 7 o'clock it completely zones out all my apps unless I physically click on it, so I can't see if there's any notifications or anything like that.
Can you just reset that on your phone? Can you?
Yeah, it's like
let me check that out.
Do not disturb thing. It like deactivates apps.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then when I had that bit of a meltdown when the property market reopened, I deleted all my apps off my phone for about 2 weeks, and it killed me. Like it really killed me. I was like, I could feel myself like, oh God, kept picking my phone up, and I was like, oh, it's not on there, and like putting it down, like basically like a smoker who's giving up cigarettes. But I think it's necessary, and I think we all need to have a little reset and reprioritize what actually is important, because you know what, replying to somebody's comment on Facebook certainly isn't. Spending time with my daughter, who will probably remember that in years to come, that's more important to me.
Yeah.
Don't know if I've just answered your question there or not, but
no, absolutely spot on. So I think we're going to move on to the next section.
Shall I start?
Yeah, you can kick us off.
So start
I think come out here.
Sorry, it's not like truth or dare or anything like that.
Have you ever?
Yeah, all right, I've never. Doesn't cut it with the orange juice.
You need to get some beer out. That was a bit of Dutch courage before the interview went live.
Yeah, it's fine. So outside of property, and sort of we've talked about family, what else is important to you? So what hobbies do you have? What do you find yourself doing when you're not doing property and social media?
So I've got, oh God, this is really awful. So up until this Saturday coming, me and my husband have not had a date night since we've started property. We've had one.
No.
We haven't been on holiday together as a family since we started in property, and I had all our hobbies have completely gone out of the window. It's only since the property market reopened and I realised all this after lockdown, I've started mountain biking again. So me and my husband were massively into this. We do have e-bikes, I'm not going to lie. I have e-bikes. But we literally, up until 8 weeks ago, I didn't do anything for myself, and neither did James. And I'd say now I probably do more than James. James still hasn't kind of got that back just yet. But we've got a few projects we're just finishing at the minute, and then we're going to take a little bit of time out up until Christmas. But we're really shit at that. We just want to get to where we want to be as soon as we can, and unfortunately everything else has gone out of the window.
It is easy for that to happen, and I think we all kind of beat ourselves up about it. And I think even for me at the minute, phys, kind of like PT, as I used to be a physical trainer before I went into the medical world, and that was part of my life. And I think recently it's been the thing that started to take the back seat, and it's just the thing that drops off. And you know, we always go on about, you know, there's, you know, 24 hours in the day and you only sleep for 8 hours and you've got this time, you've got this time, you've got this time. But it's like, okay, you've got a full-time job, you're trying to do a business, you're trying to, you know, have, you know, be a family, you're trying to kind of just stay sane and you're trying to just keep above water. And, you know, sometimes I think, you know, people think you're like a swan on the top of the water, but really, you know, you're just absolutely flapping like a good one underneath it. And, but yeah, my point is, you know, it's easy to, like, you know, for things to drop off. But I think, again, as long as you can try and like recognize that, and I think it's easier when you're in a partnership because you can recognize it in each other, you know, and try and bring it back to the forefront and you know, have a life outside of kind of, you know,
I think
the next goal
as well. Like going back to a little bit to social media, like, everyone portrays the perfect picture. You know, I get up at 5 and I go for a run and do a bit of mindset, and then Andy T. And then, you know, I do a full day at work and then I do this and I do that. And, you know, if you're not doing it, you know, you're a disappointment to not Andy T, by the way, this part. You know, you're a disappointment to yourself, or, you know, you're not putting enough effort. And do you know what? My daughter runs rings around me. She's nearly 4 years old. Like, you come and have her for a day, try and run a business, try and like cook, clean, sort your, well, I don't clean, I've got a cleaner, cook and carry on in your house. And it's exhausting. Like, I'm physically and mentally exhausted. Last thing I want to do is be getting up at 5 o'clock and going for a run. Because I can't do that. That's hard.
But I think what people don't realise probably when they make the jump from having a job to working for themselves is you have no structure anymore, do you? You have no routine. And so how did you find that kind of transition to from going from sort of a 9 to 5 to something where that routine has suddenly gone and you know, if I was doing exercise in the evening, no longer if I got that structure in my day to continue it? Did you find that hard?
I mean, I was pretty fortunate in that department because my jobs have always been area managers or regional managers. So I've never really had the 9 to 5. Mine started at 7. I had to drive to Scotland and I had to come back. So I've always been in control of my own diary, my own time management. And that's one of the things when me and James first started working together clashed a little bit about, because I was very self-sufficient. I could manage my own time and my own diary. Whereas he always had to micromanage people because the trades didn't. He had to organise them, tell them where they needed to be. And that's kind of where we butted heads a little bit. So from that side, I've always been quite self-sufficient, even though it's been from an employed perspective. But I've always had to, you know, do my sales reports, go see accounts, book them in the diary, drive there, etc. So I never really struggled with that. The thing I struggled with was it had gone from maybe a 14, 15 hour day to actually this is 24 hours. We're living and breathing this. And initially, it was tough because we weren't, you know, we stopped going out for meals. You know, we used to have a holiday home, we had a boat, we had a nice car. We sold everything to go into property full time, to get as many houses as we could in a short period of time, to basically get back the income that we'd just given up overnight. That was the thing I struggled with. And I'm not a materialistic person, but like making memories, as in going on holiday, you know, going out for a nice meal, or, you know, oh yeah, let's just go here for the week. We had a motorbike, you know, all that went. That's the thing I really struggled with when we went full time into property. Got off topic there completely, girls, sorry.
No, not at all. It's one of the things that we go on about a lot. Like, you can see our little hashtag there, enjoy the ride, because we've all got goals and we've all got somewhere we're striving to be, and that next kind of you know, whatever it is, objective. But I think it's so important to just enjoy the journey as well, isn't it, along the way? And we've sort of talked about, you know, we got like going on nice holidays as well. And, you know, is that something that we now need to stop if we're both no longer in? But, you know, eventually we both will no longer be in the JOB, and is that something we need to give up? But actually, no, we really want to continue that, don't we? Because it's part of us, it's part of what we enjoy, and it's, you've got to get that balance right, haven't you, I guess?
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, we've been on, so I'm lying to you actually, we've been on 2 holidays since we got into property. They were both ski holidays with property people.
Mixing work.
But yeah, I mean, we have this conversation all the time. Like, me and James don't celebrate our wins. We go from one project to the next project to the next project. We never really celebrate it. You know, like at the minute, which I'll share. You know, we've been working on a deal now for the last 14 months, and they've finally accepted our offer, and we're just going through. Yeah, but do you know what? We were like, yeah, but when we've got through finance, then we'll celebrate. But then it'll be when we get the keys. When we've tenanted it, like that's just the type of people we are. We never like just take a breath and go, do you know, actually we've done well, because we all don't really do that. I'd say you are probably the same.
Yeah. I think we don't celebrate bigger wins, but we'll just have a bottle of fizz every Friday because it's Friday.
But I think what we do on a Friday, we're like, oh shit, that was a hard week. Oh my god, this happened, that happened. Then actually, wait, what good things happened this week? Well, that happened and that, and we do try, but we have to remind ourselves to celebrate the small wins. So it's just important.
But sorry,
go on.
No, go on.
But we've just paused our personal life over the last 18 months for property, and now luckily for lockdown it's made us realize actually this is not a life. Like, we're supposed to be enjoying what we're doing here. So yeah, we've hopefully, you know, we've booked a holiday. We're going to Centre Parks. So, yeah, we're just going to take, but there's no real pressure now to get to that £5,000 because we have. That's why we probably put everything out of the window, because we needed to get to that as quick as possible, because while we weren't at the 5K, we were eroding into our savings, which we didn't want to do. So yeah, but now we're there, we can have a little breath and start enjoying the journey and the ride.
You're right. So okay, so we'll move on, shall we? Go on then. So I guess probably a question that you always get asked, but it's a good question. So who inspires you? Open question again.
I've never been asked this question.
Really?
Who inspires me?
Have you got any?
This is going to be really sad.
No, what comes to the heart straight away?
To be honest, it's my husband. He's the driving force in our business, and he, you know, if I can't be asked to get out of bed, he's the one that religiously every day gets his ass out of bed. He drives to the jobs, he sorts them out, and he's the driving force, and I just don't have his energy. I wish I did, and people won't ever see that be on social media because he's never on it. But he does, because he wanted to change our life and he wanted a better way to live. And we're kind of doing that now. Sorry, that's a bit sad.
Yes, you do, Darren.
No, that's a great answer. That's a really good answer. Do you have a mentor at the minute, or you don't have to say who it is, but
I'm happy to share. So I've just I'm doing an elite mastermind with Jamie York at the moment, so I'm probably 3 months into it. Just for me, just because I do need that accountability every month. Like James is great, but James keeps a lot of things in his head, and James will never say well done, never, unless I prize it out of him. And I do need someone to go, you know what, you've done well there, and just to kind of get my knowledge to that next level. And I don't mind sharing. We want to add to our family, so we need a fully systemized business. And at the minute, it's systemized, but it's not fully systemized. And I know that them guys have one and can help me do that as well. So so Jamie and Dan, I'm just doing their I don't know, it's called Elite Mastermind, or it's like a 14-month program. So I'm doing third month I'm in that. So yeah.
And do you think that it is important to have a mentor? Would you recommend that to everyone? And if they're into property investing?
I think so, but I also think surrounding yourself with people's more important. Like, we hardly hang around with anybody that we used to do pre-property. Probably like one of them's our JV partner. We hang around. Obviously James still speaks to him. I still speak to a couple of my friends, but in regards to that, our complete network and circle of friends has completely changed. And I was talking to somebody today who I met on the first ski trip that we went to. And he's like, we should set up a mastermind of just us, because, we're all doing stuff in property. And I think that's a lot more powerful, if I'm brutally honest. But to get you to that point, I feel you do need a mentor to kind of maybe guide you in the right way. The biggest influence in mentor for me was David Siegler, if I'm honest. Like, He pushed me, gave me massive opportunities that I've, no one else has ever offered me. Like speaking on stage, which raised me quite a bit of money. He was the game changer for me personally in my personal journey. So I do recommend it. And but I think you need to do your due diligence around who it is. Make sure they actually have property. It's not because there's a lot of property trainers out there that don't. So yeah, that's my personal take on it.
Do you do any mentoring yourself, Laura? I know you do, like, you've got your social media mentoring program and stuff and the masterminds type thing, but do you do any like one-on-one? Would you ever consider it? Is that something that you could see yourself, would you want to give that value to people?
Can I be, being honest, I'm still new at this myself. Realistically, I've only been doing this for 2 years and I don't feel like I'm in a position to start mentoring people on property because I'm still learning myself. My husband knows way more than me, but he's not bothered about doing that. When I'm maybe a multimillionaire, I might think about it, but do you know what? At the minute I'm not. So I just want to guide someone in the wrong direction when I'm not fully there myself, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, massively. I'll just put a question up there, and then I thought I will say that till the end. Paul Million just dropped a question, but I'll say that till the end. I put it up, and then I was like, oh no, that's not where we're at. It'll distract me. I'm here.
One thing I would want to say as well is, once you start putting yourself on social media, and this is another reason why I joined up to the Jamie's like my mastermind thing, is you very quickly elevate to be an educator when you're still learning yourself. So then you get to a certain level and people are always asking you questions and you're kind of known as giving advice and giving help. But actually, I'm still learning myself. But then you kind of never really ask anymore because you've built up this profile. But who do you then ask? There's no one for you to really ask because everyone's always asking you them questions. So that's another reason why I went on to do what I've done. But again, I've got some, a great circle of friends around me that I do class as friends now who are in property that I know I could go to any of them, there's several of them that between them would be able to figure out the answer. But yeah, I think social media can do that. And I think it also can sometimes restrict your learning, which I feel like that's what it did for me, because I'd gone from nobody to someone knowing my name to them asking me questions when I'd literally were only in it 6 months myself, and I was like, shit.
I can relate to that. Like, we're kind of a year, 18 months behind or whatever, but I can totally relate to that. And I get asked a lot of questions, and I still kind of get baffled when people actually ask me stuff. And I think and I always say, I'm not, I'm by no means the expert, and there's way more other people that are there to help you out than me. And it's, I don't know, I guess it's just something that, I want to help, and we want to help as many people as possible. And I'll always tell everyone, experiences that we've been through. But I
think it's just remembering that there's the people ahead of you, but there's so many people underneath you, and everyone's at a different level. Even if you're on the bottom rung, there's someone on the floor, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? And it's remembering that there's always someone below you, above you at the same level, and everyone at the end of the day just wants more information, don't they?
Yeah. But I think, like, picking up on your point, Laura, as well, about the kind of that power of community and the power of mastermind and that kind of family, feel, and again for us, kind of both, with like 30 years plus experience, like military service or whatever. For me, it's over 20 years. And it's been really comforting to you are a Sprog. Sorry, Sprog is someone that's not been there very long compared to 4 million. I know what that means. But it's like kind of that feeling of going from that family, a very tight knit, close family of, joined at 16 and coming towards the end of my career now, and it's like, oh God, I'm not ever going to get that again. But actually, property is we've met so many people, and class so many people as good friends now, and people that we could turn to and rely upon and go to for advice, and whether they're paid mentors or whether they're just friends. It's it's
family, isn't it?
It is. I know that sounds a bit like, but it is.
It's completely right.
I think it's a good feeling, and it's just having those right people around you is just kind of
it's very powerful.
really.
Very powerful. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, right. So, favourite book coming straight at you. Sorry, I didn't even give you a lead up to that. Favourite book and why?
Can I say audio because I don't read?
Yeah.
My favourite book has got to be Can't Hurt You. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Goggins.
Goggins guy. Yeah.
Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
I've not read it, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
Why is that your favourite book? I've not read
Just
it.
resilience and like how he's really like changed his mentality and his mindset to be literally bulletproof. Like nothing anyone can say to that guy will deter him from his goal. And I think we all get affected by what we see, what other people do, and what we hear, or what people think of us. But actually, really, if you want it bad enough, we need to have such a strong mind. And I can completely not relate to his story, but elements of like how he's felt in his life, and losing my family and stuff. I can kind of relate to that in a certain way with what he's kind of discussed in his book. And yeah, I think it's a very powerful book if you maybe that way inclined.
Yeah, we'll check that one out.
You can get it on Audible. Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, so let's move on to the final section. Here we go.
Future.
So coming towards the end, it's kind of what's next for Laura and James Muse. I Square Property. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Where do you want to be?
On a beach. So we've decided that we just want to do buy-to-lets and build-to-rent for our personal business. So that's what we're going to do and concentrate on. I'll share. So basically, we've managed to secure a deal that we've been working on for the last 18 months, which will take our net income up to £12,000 a month, which is huge for us. Something that we've really pushed on. So it's 18 units. So that's literally just going through, to get a mortgage, basically. We'll see what happens. I hope it comes through. But we're kind of 90% there. So that looks all good.
Where did that come from? Was that a D2V or was that how did that come about? 18
so literally from the HMO register, just mailing out. And it turns out she had 3 HMO rooms in one of the buildings. And then the next building is 7 flats. So the houses there's no throughway, but they're literally next to each other. So one's 7 units and the other one's 11 units mixed between flats. And that's the one we've not struggling for finance, but we're restricted with lenders because obviously it's got flats and HMO rooms. So yeah, but fingers crossed we will get there. But we just want to probably just focus on sourcing. So I'm going to move more to sourcing land in our business now instead of the buy-to-let stuff because, we've built up the relationships with the agents. I don't need to be going in every other week and seeing them anymore. A phone call every 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks is quite sufficient, to be honest. And really scaling back the deal packaging side, maybe working with 1 or 2 investors if we do get anything. And just trying to find more land sites, basically. We've got some great investors now who lend on a return. So they're lending from 3 to 5 years on a fixed return. And then we've got a couple of other bigger investors, or we want to call them angel investors, who will fund projects, so the bigger projects. So we're currently looking at an 18-unit site and a 26-unit site in Sheffield. So yeah, hopefully
that's very shabby.
Yeah, that'd be quite nice. But build to rent is what we want to do. In 10 years' time, I'd like an income of £30,000 a month net, which I don't think is unachievable, if I'm honest.
No.
I'd like to have built my own house.
I want to do that.
Shout. At least want to do that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned on a beach. Which beach?
Oh God.
Any particular
if I had
beach?
my way, it'd be somewhere in New Zealand.
Nice.
We've never
been.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. The long list.
Good stuff. Should we go for some questions then?
Well, I think we've got I think we've got one question from Paul Million in the house.
No.
Do you get into the student market at all, Laura, or fancy co-living or commercial to resi conversions? Paul Million.
So we've been looking at some resi conversions. That's James's department, if I'm honest. Commercial conversions, sorry. I'm not bothered about the student market. Just personally, it's just personal preference. We're more happy doing the buy-to-lets and the build-to-rent model, if I'm honest. So we've done build-to-rent once, which were the 2 shops, 2 flats. They work perfectly fine for us, and our build costs are pretty good. So yeah, we're not bothered about students, but always open to commercial and resi conversions. Yeah.
Oh, right, cool. Right, shall we? I think we're at the time. It's the quick fire round.
Yeah, I think it's
gosh.
No pressure.
Right, here we go.
Drum roll.
Ready?
Go on.
Bolly or Moe?
Moe.
Buy to let or rent to rent?
Buy-to-let.
Chinese food or Indian food?
Indian.
Facebook or LinkedIn?
Facebook.
Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Eating out or Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill. I've heard there's another word for that though, so I'm not sure.
Long haul or staycation?
Long haul.
Cash flow or capital growth?
Cash flow.
And there you go. You did pretty well. We went gentle on you.
Yeah.
I'm nervous then. I'm like, oh God, all sorts could come out here.
I think we were too gentle then, actually. So
Bollinger or Moe, I was like, oh no, where's this? We're not going about Blue Oak Big one, are we?
No, we still owe you a bottle of Moe.
I fell over and nearly broke my coccyx that evening, ladies.
You took it like a champ, though. You took it like an absolute champ.
Yeah,
right, okay. So how do people find you? I know everyone probably already knows you on here, but this is going to go on YouTube. I'm going to repurpose it and put it everywhere else as well. So how do people find Laura Muse?
On LinkedIn, it's Laura Muse. On Facebook, it's Laura Muse and I Squared Property. On YouTube, it's I Squared Property. LinkedIn is Laura Muse. And then there's the podcast, which is The Social Propertypreneur.
Yes. We didn't even really touch on that. That's like a whole other string to your bow that you do as well.
That'll be part
You
2.
do too many things. And what about your Facebook group as well?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I always forget that. So I've got a Facebook group, which is Social Media Success for Property Investors. So type that in and you're welcome to join and starting the September challenge, which we did run last year, which was really cool. And this year, if you want to partake, there will be a cash prize, so £15 to get involved, basically, and whoever puts in the most effort wins.
Awesome. Yeah, class.
Thank you so much, Laura, for being on with us and being so, truthful and candid. It's so good to see you bounce back from what you've just been through, and to see you nice and smiley and bubbly. It's just been a really good interview, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And best of luck with your, how many beds? 18?
18
years. Oh my God. Exciting time. Yeah.
Well, thanks for ladies. It's been great. And I've not been asked loads of these questions, which is quite refreshing.
Good. So, yeah, we wanted it to be a little bit kind of, bit different from the norm, hopefully. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on. Yeah, an absolute pleasure to have you on here. Thank you so much. And, I think we'll call it there. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. Enjoy the ride, as we say. And we're almost at the weekend. So cheers to everybody. Right, over and out. Over and out.